when I first talked to Rob about doing this presentation, I said, well, let's make it a working title of finding customers who are 100 times more valuable without 100 times the effort. I think that's kind of long and tongue-twisty, so I decided to change it to how to measurably move the needle with your software company. I talked to several of you yesterday at lunch, and I found out that most of you are running software companies and you started out consulting, and some of you are still doing consulting and trying to make the break between doing consulting, which is, trading hours for dollars, and building a business where you don't necessarily have to trade hours for dollars. So this is great. So quick show of hands, how many of you are still doing consulting to pay the bills and you want to run your business? Yeah, that's almost the entire room. Thank you. And so that's great, because this is actually what we're going to talk about. And this is what I've done as well. So I've been a consultant, and I've run a software company, and I've run a web hosting company. So I'm going to show you 3 case studies today. 2 of them are not mine, and 1 of them is mine. And I'm going to talk about how to really grow your business so that you can be full-time with your business. And I'm hoping that by next year at MicroConf, you can take some of these lessons along with some of the things the other speakers have told you and actually be full-time with your business. Now, some of my advice is going to be contrarian, and I guarantee that there are some of you who are not going to like what I have to say. But I'm really excited to share with you anyway. But first, who the heck is this woman? Who's standing up here on stage telling you all this stuff? So I wanted to talk a little bit about my background, and I'm going to run through this really briefly because I want to make this mostly about you. But I'll talk about who I am first. In 1997, when I was 16 years old, I went on the internet on a dial-up modem, and I tried to find a job where I could work from home. I ended up working for an SEO company that sold a boxed software. Remember those? Remember those back in the day when you went to the store and you bought software in a box? They called it Site Promoter, and that company was WGI. And when you bought Site Promoter and you put the CD in the CD drive, remember those? We don't have those anymore. And you put it in and it said, well, you can do this yourself and it'll take you, 25 hours to do all of this yourself, submitting sites to search engines. Or you can just hire our awesome team to do it for you for $250 or $500, depending on which package you want. When they hired WGI to do it for them, I was the girl who copied and pasted all of their information into 500 different search engines. And I got paid about $12.50 an hour, which was actually a pretty good rate for a 16-year-old back in the day. Of course, I did have to lie and tell them I was 18 in order to get the job, but fortunately I was working from home, so they didn't know. So this was 2002. So in 1997, I started working for the SEO company. In 99, I graduated high school, and I decided to make my way to Silicon Valley. And I ended up in San Jose, at the lovely San Jose State. And I had a teacher there who told me that I needed to drop out of college. He said, it's 1999, you're stuck in school, you're really good at this stuff, you need to go make your fortune on the internet. And I took his advice, and I dropped out of school. And I started a hosting company in 2001. So I started my little web hosting company. I was at the time working at a company called Cobalt Networks. Probably don't remember them. They made little blue servers, and I was doing internal tech support. So I was the person that people came to with their Windows questions, and that's where I learned about Linux and system administration and became a huge geek. So in 2001, I dumpster dove for some servers. You can actually see them here. They're the ones with the white things right here. Those are ones that have been pulled out of production on Cobalt, and I grabbed them out of the dumpster and put them in a data center in San Francisco. And I was like, I'm in business. I'm running a hosting company. I forgot that I actually needed customers to do that. But that's how I got started. In 2002, my grandmother died, and my dad received a small inheritance of $15,000. So I used that to, of course, buy more servers. And then I forgot that I needed to actually do marketing in order to sell those servers. So I had no money to do marketing with. So I ended up on a forum called Web Hosting Talk, and I pitched my little blue servers for sale. And sure enough, people did end up buying them and leasing them out as dedicated servers. I remember one guy paid me over $1,800 in cash from poker winnings for one of his servers. It was the largest amount of cash I'd ever held in my hand at that time. So this was 2002, and that's when I got started. By 2003, I had moved to a larger data center, and we had more servers. You can see here that I'm starting to build servers below those servers. But we still only had just one rack of servers. By 2005, we had our own office, and I had hired my first employee. This is me standing here at the office. Those are 8 dual Xeon processors in my hand that we're using to build servers. That's 8 gigabytes of RAM, which in 2005 was incredibly expensive. And behind me is $50,000 worth of Cisco gear that we were using to build out our new infrastructure. So this was my company, and I ran it, just like many of you guys are running the company now. And by then, we were doing several $100,000 a year in sales. By 2006, we'd grown a little bit more. And this was our giant cage full of servers. I bartered these pictures in exchange for free hosting for a month for one of our customers who went on to become very famous and now works at Facebook. And So I grew from one tiny slab of servers to a full rack of servers to 8 racks of servers, and then I sold the company in 2007 to one of our competitors for over $1 million. At that point, by 2007, we were doing $800,000 or $900,000 a year in annual revenue. And we had 6 people at the company. So that's the story of my bootstrapped and selling this crazy business. So in 2007, after I sold the business, I started a blog because I thought, well, this would be great to be able to relate some of my experiences of success and failure, as we did have some rough times with my hosting company as well. And so I started a blog called erica.biz. It became very popular. It's now one of the top 10 entrepreneurship blogs. I was featured in Inc. magazine last year. In 2012, that was a real highlight for me. They came out and took pictures. It was very exciting. And so in 2012, I grew the blog to 1.2 million unique visitors per year. In 2010, I started my current company, which is called Boost Traffic, and we're changing our name, which I'm going to talk about in the presentation. And I'm going to talk about why we're changing our name, too. So this is me. And so now, let's get into what you guys want, which is the case studies. This is the real meat of everything. So I'm going to talk about changing your pricing. Now, this has been a pretty popular theme here at MicroConf. I had no idea when I put these slides together that this was going to become one of the most popular themes of the conference. I was really happy when Jason got up there and talked about changing pricing yesterday, because I'm going to actually show you how we changed WP Engine's pricing. So this story got started when I moved to Austin, Texas recently. And in January of last year, Jason hired me as a consultant. We both needed something. He needed a boost to WP Engine, and I needed a fake salary so I could buy a house so that I wouldn't have to go through the mortgage company as a self-employed person. I know every one of you that's laughing has had to deal with this problem before. So I totally get that. So we traded. Jason hired me on as a consultant for 3 months part-time in exchange, or a W-2 salary in exchange for me working with them to change their pricing. This was their website, and I have some of the fonts are off a little bit on this, so please don't blame Jason for the bad font choice. So this was their website when I first started working as a consultant with them. And they had 3 basic packages, and I've labeled the prices down at the bottom. So they had a $49 a month package, which Jason had in his notes that he wanted to change to a $29 a month package. And that was to host a single website with WP Engine. Then they had what they called the touring package, which was $200 a month. And it was for WordPress multi-site. Now, the problem with WordPress multi-site is that absolutely 0 people understand the difference between hosting multiple websites and WordPress multi-site. And the issue was that their customers were getting confused. Does this multi-site mean I can host multiple websites? Well, kind of, but it's also a different version of WordPress with its own issues, and it got really convoluted. And then, of course, they had the call package, right? A lot of us have that on our website over on the right side, where we say, if you're a gigantic enterprise, then you can call us and we'll personally handle everything. Of course, they didn't have a phone number yet. So we talked about that too, and we got them to get a toll-free number. So those were the 3 packages that they had. So when Jason brought me in as a consultant, I immediately saw one huge flaw in their funnel. And this was a combination of having been in the hosting industry for many years and having been a blogger for several years. And I said, Jason, here's the problem. Here's the leaky part of your funnel. No blogger has one website. We all have multiple websites. We may have one website that's doing really well, and that's our primary website, but we never have just one. And so we created, after several hours of intense discussion in a conference room, we created different pricing plans. And these were the pricing plans that I helped Jason come up with. And I did all of the copy. I changed the copy on the pricing page and on their homepage as well. So we changed the copy and we changed the pricing plans. First of all, Jason said, I want to bring the $49 a month plan down to $29 a month. Great, let's do that. I said, let's put in a 10 website plan for $99 a month. And Jason said, I don't know, that's a little risky. Let me see if I can actually make these numbers work and make sure that we're actually going to make money with hosting 10 websites for $99 a month. And turns out the numbers did work pretty well. And I asked people at lunch yesterday about this, and several of you said that you're on this plan. Can I get a quick show of hands, like who's on this plan with WP Engine? There's several of you in this room that are on this plan. And I know a couple of you yesterday said you probably wouldn't have signed up if every website that you needed to host was an additional $29 a month. And so that's why we did that. And then we opted to do the $249 a month plan. And notice here, I've got, again, right down here at the top, I've got domains. 1 domain, 10 domains, 25 domains. We had a big discussion about whether we wanted to say domains or websites. It turns out most hosting companies use the word domains, so that's what we went with. And then, of course, the call plan down here with unlimited domains and the contact us. So notice here too, I also changed the copy on the pricing page. So I want to go back, and you can see here, it says enterprise class hosting for serious bloggers. I changed it because I felt strongly that not everyone who owns a WordPress website is a blogger. So some people have WordPress hosting needs, but they're not necessarily blogs. They're running content websites that aren't blogs. So I changed it. So it now says the fastest WordPress hosting, try it risk-free for 60 days. And notice here too, I changed the copy. We discussed changing the pricing plans as well. It used to say any package free for 15 days. Now it says try it risk-free for 60 days, but they collect the credit card up front. And then I highlighted the biggest pain point with their customers. I asked for a support person alias on their support system, and I read through hundreds of support tickets from their customers. And I also listened to the testimonials and feedback that WP Engine received. And one thing was really clear. Everybody at WP Engine was there because their site had pretty much crashed and been taken down when they got tons of traffic from another hosting company. That was a huge problem. In fact, that was the reason Jason started WP Engine. So I said, get started now and never worry about your site crashing again. So we changed the copy and we changed the plans. And that was how, I wish I had the graph that Jason had yesterday where they went flat and then they went straight up. That was about when we hit that change in February of last year. So that 10 for $99 a month plan really made things skyrocket. I use this as an example, not only of the type of consulting that I like to do, but also because a lot of people get stuck in a particular type of mindset. And it's because, your servers will only support this, or, you think that because you're this way that everybody is the same way. It made sense for Jason in his case to host sites at $29 a month per site. But in my case, I knew that I would never move to WP Engine if I couldn't host all of my sites there. Because why would I want WP Engine plus another hosting company? The whole point was to move the sites over. So by doing the 10 for $99 a month plan, we actually changed the type of demographic of customers that WP Engine was attracting. Now no more would they just have one website. They could have 10 or 25 or more. So we changed the homepage too. The homepage used to have a picture of an engine on it. It's now on the pricing page. It's over here on the left side. So that used to be in the homepage. And I said, Jason, we need a picture of your team. So we took a picture of the team in the office and we put the team picture up on the website. He also had on the homepage superb WordPress hosting, which I felt strongly was a word that didn't really mean very much. It's like, it's great. So we diagrammed out on the whiteboard, and it took me several hours to come up with the word that I finally wanted, which was hassle-free. And that's what I feel embodies the WP Engine experience. It's hassle-free WordPress hosting. You're not going to have to mess with configuration settings or upgrade your plugins or any of that stuff because they take care of everything for you, and you don't have to worry about your site crashing. So, and that's what we changed on the site. Of course, we added a toll-free phone number as well, which I think Jason would attest would measurably move the needle with their company as well. There's one other thing that I changed, and I'll go back to back here. They had a metaphor of like a car company where it said parts, sales, and service up at the top. And I felt like this was kind of like a cheesy used car dealership. And I said, I get that it's called WP Engine, but I don't want the metaphor of like a used car service. So instead of parts, sales, and service, we changed it to our customers, they love us, pricing plans, and service. So we changed it a lot. And actually those pages, we tracked those pages, got a lot higher click-throughs. And we redesigned the testimonials page as well for that. So that was WP Engine, and that's a great case study of how just changing your pricing and rethinking what you're doing can make a huge impact on your business. So I wanted to share the nitty-gritty of what we did with WP Engine's site. So okay, now here's the part that you guys may not like. It's called doing things that don't scale, and I love this case study, and I love this example, and I'm doing a lot of this stuff too. There's a tendency, right? We're all software developers here, or we're developers, we're techies. And we have this tendency, we're like, well, can we use software to do this instead of a person, right? I don't want to sit there and call customers. I don't want to do tech support. I don't want to do any of this stuff. Just let me code in peace in my basement. And I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with any of this crap that I have to deal with to run a business. And I totally understand where you're coming from as a techie myself. But I'm going to show you this case study, and I want you to kind of rethink maybe doing this, at least at the beginning. You don't have to do this forever, but try this at the beginning. Okay, so the question every developer has when I talk about these sorts of things with them is, but does it scale? Does it scale? And we all freak out about that. Especially, I mean, even if you have investors or advisors in your company, you decide to, do a friends and family round or get advisors. They're like, well, but you're emailing everybody and you're doing this personal thing. It's almost like you're dragging yourself back into that consulting role that you hate. So the question is, does it scale? Okay, so here's some stuff that doesn't scale that you should do it anyway. And this is a really extreme example, but I think it's a pertinent one. I've noticed that Leo from Buffer has gotten a lot of attention during this conference, and this is great because I have a really stellar case study from Leo. He found new customers by emailing them individually for Buffer. And if you remember yesterday when Ben did the analysis for Buffer and they said only 2% of their customers turn into paid customers, wait till you see the number of hours that Leo spent emailing these people individually. Are you ready for this? So I got one from Leo. I know this print is probably a little bit hard to read, but I'm going to run through it because it's an important example of how emailing your customers individually or potential customers individually may not only get you more customers, but get you more loyal fans. So this email was dated December 7th, 2011. So this was before anybody had heard of Buffer. Nobody knew who this guy was. And he emailed me directly. He said, "Hi, Erica. I hope all is well with you. Just read your latest post." And he talks about my blog post, how many obstacles you had to overcome to reach selling your company for $1.1 million, especially the story when you got fired because you were only an 18-year-old college kid, was very inspiring to me. One has to overcome a lot of crazy setbacks to succeed. So I loved Joanna's talk yesterday because she talked a lot about using you in the copy instead of me, right? So he's not talking about himself at all there, right? I still have no idea who this guy is. I have no idea who his company is. But the first paragraph is all about me, and it makes me feel really good because it's like, okay, this guy's actually paid attention to me. He's actually read my blog. As a blogger, I probably get 8 to 10 pitches a day, and it's ridiculous what people will do. They're like, blah, 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 just came out with a new product. Attached is our press release. Thank you for writing about us. I'm like, I don't write about people's press releases. So I get these emails and I just delete them. But Leo's really attracted my attention right away because he was talking about me. And it was clear that he had read my blog. He probably read my blog for 30 seconds to come up with that. That's okay, though, because he's talking about me. And he said, just quickly, I love this too because it indicates that my time is valuable. Just quickly, we're launching the Buffer button for blogs, and we're getting 10 top blogs on board for a big press launch. Okay, so now we're introducing a little bit of scarcity here, right? There's only 10 of these. There's Mari Smith, Kissmetrics, Pam Marketing Nut, Britopian.com, and others so far. Oh, okay, so now you're name dropping. But this is cool because this is social proof right here. So he's talking about, okay, yeah, you can be right up there with Mari Smith and Kissmetrics. Who wouldn't want to be, right? One top blog that I obviously thought about was your blog. I was like, wow, this makes me feel really good. So then he gets into what he's doing, right? So we've all talked, now he's kind of leaning toward, okay, this is what we're doing, but this is why it's important for you. So I love that second paragraph too. In the third paragraph, he talks about the Buffer button, and he gives an example of Mari Smith. Now, I will tell you that this paragraph didn't work as well with me because I wasn't quite clear on what the Buffer button would do for me. So that part, I would say, I would switch it out. I mean, obviously, 2011, he's probably still trying to figure out what he's doing with his company. So I would say, probably switch that out for a little bit more concrete of what's in it for me type of situation, what's in it for the blogger. But it said, will allow people to share posts at a better time. I would have used the word you here, and create more traffic for the site, I would have said your site. So a couple of examples. And he says, do you think you could try the Buffer button and see if you get more shares? You can easily grab all you need here. And I love this last paragraph too, because it sounds like now I'm not going to have to do a 10-step process to get the Buffer button. I'm just going to have to go to this website and make a couple of clicks, and I can do the button. So I didn't respond to this email, but I kept it. And I thought it was really interesting. And when I started seeing Buffer all over the place, because they did about 1 million guest posts to launch their product, then that was when I tried Buffer, and now I am a customer of theirs. So this was how it got started, though. This really stuck in my mind as an email. And he did follow up later. I'll talk about that in a minute. So I asked Leo yesterday to give me some stats on how well this worked for him. Like, how many bloggers did you email with this message, right? Was I the only one? Were there 10,000? I don't know. And how many of them responded, or how many of them, decided to try out the Buffer button? So Leo said, overall, my success rate from getting a response from bloggers was 30 to 40%. So 3 to 4 out of every 10 people he emailed responded back. But then it gets worse, guys. All right. So I would send 10 emails, and 3 to 4 people would put up the button, or let me guest post on their site. So now you're starting to see how Leo built Buffer by guest posting on everybody's site, right? That's how Buffer became everywhere in 2012, in early 2012. This is the crazy part. I would email 10 people per day for 3 to 5 months. 10 per day times 5 per week times 4 weeks in a month times 3 to 5 months. I sent out about 1,000 emails. 1,000 emails! 1,000 emails is what he sent. And they were similar to the one that I did, that I received. And he was looking for 10 blogs. In that case, I know he got his 10 blogs, but he also got hundreds of guest posting opportunities back. Now, the real thing is that he didn't even send out 1,000 emails. No, because if you didn't respond, he followed up. And he had a simple trick. And he said, hey, just wanted to check, see, did you receive my last email? And that was all. That was basically the follow-up. And that's really effective, by the way. I use this all the time, especially with people that you want money from. Hey, did you get my last email about that? Just checking. And they respond back like right away, and it says, yes, sent from my iPhone. So I see that a lot from people, but that works really well too. So not only did he send out 1,000 initial emails, we're talking about multiple follow-ups for each person. So this was almost a full-time job for Leo building Buffer. But look how large Buffer is now. So can I get a quick show of hands? How many of you have heard of Buffer? Everyone. Okay. Yes, that's exactly how that works. And so if you want your product to be known within your target market, that's the kind of thing that you're going to have to do. Does it scale? No, it doesn't scale, but it gets you known by everyone. And your target market doesn't have to be bloggers, right? In Leo's case, it was, but it can be any sort of professionals that are in your market. Most of you are B2B. Any sort of consumers that are in your market if you're B2C. So what you have to do is think about, who's my target market? How do I most effectively reach them? How do I bombard them with blog posts and Facebook ads and emails? And maybe the best strategy is to email them one-to-one, individually. There's a great example in Leo's email. And all you have to do is simple social proof. Ask them some questions. Ask them one thing. Have them do one thing. And then they will be emailing you back or offering to help you in some way. I've used this trick successfully as well. So 1,000 emails. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys, is anybody up for this as a challenge? Anybody want to do 1,000 emails? Hands? Anybody? All right. Yeah, I know. Exactly right. You're willing to try. Okay, hands again real quick. Everybody look around. Those are the most successful people in the audience. So there you go. So these are the kind of things that are going to drive you to success in your industry. It's tough, right? Because we want to just go back in our hole and build software and not deal with people and not deal with customers. And we try all these loopholes like let's try AdWords or retargeting, all that stuff. And I'm not saying any of that stuff doesn't work. That's great stuff to do. But to do retargeting, you have to get them to your site to begin with. And to do Facebook ads, it's going to be more successful if they already know who you are. So this is a way to individually reach out to people and say, okay, this is who I am, and this is my product, and I'd like you to do one thing with it. Try it. Maybe it's free. So case study number 3. Here's my version of Leo's emails. I did this. It doesn't scale, but I think you should do it anyway. This is really pertinent for you. How many of you have a business, but it's not quite making you enough money to survive quite yet? Quite yet? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. That's like half the room. So you're on that cusp, right? So you've got a business, you've got a product, it's making you a little bit of money, and you need it to make you more money. This is where you want to be with this case study, and this is what I'm going to show you. How to get your business from $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month to $10,000 a month to $20,000 a month. So this is how you do it. It doesn't scale, but do it anyway. By the way, this was a lot of my 2012 I spent doing this. This I did. I offered free one-on-one support to every customer who signed up at over $100 a month. So I didn't do it for the $9 a month people, but I did it anybody who signed up at over $100 a month. And this is the email, the exact email that I sent. I sent these manually. You can do it with an autoresponder. That works too. I sent them manually because I felt like it would be a little bit more legit if it was sent manually, not right away after they signed up. So it was simple. Thank you for signing up as part of your service with us. You're entitled to a free 30-minute consultation one-on-one. And I give a little bit of examples of what you're going to get out of the consultation. We'll go over what keywords you might want to aim for, what your competitors are doing, and how you can see the best results from our service. I highly recommend setting up your consult right away. Click here to pick a date and time for your consult. Now that link redirects into one of those calendar services that you can use. The people will click on a time and it will give them the time and schedule the meeting in both their calendar and yours. So that's all it does. It's just a redirect link. And then I look forward to speaking with you. I have literally done hundreds of these consultations. I have spent upwards of 10 hours a week doing these. And what I did developed into a process by which I built my whole website and my business. So I wanted to get a feel for who my customers are. Who are they? What kind of business are they running? What words are they using? What emotional angst do they have, right? What problems do they have? How are they solving those problems right now? And most importantly, where does my software fit into this? What part of the chain are we in this? What is their goal and how are we helping them get to it or not helping them get to it? So I got a feel for the step-by-step process my customers use to get results. And you can do this too. If you know approximately who your customers are, get on the phone with them, do one-on-ones. You don't have to do it for everyone. Do it for the ones that pay you the most. Let's say somebody signed up 6 months ago and they're your largest customer and they're paying you $300 or $500 a month, or they've paid you $3,000 up front, something like that. You can go back to them now and do that and say, hey, I just want to check in with you and see how everything's going. I'd love to offer you a free 30-minute one-on-one just so I can help you grow your business or help you, whatever their problems are that you're taking a guess right now of what their problems are. You're thinking, probably I know this. You're making an educated guess. And how can I help? Get on the phone with them. I do these through GoToWebinar. Of course, there are many webinar solutions out there. I happen to use GoToMeeting, actually, is what I use for the one-on-ones. And it's great. And there are many other ones, so don't get too hung up on the technology part of it. But just get on the webinar with them, get on the one-on-one consultation, pull up their website or pull up their business and talk about how you can help them. And I often, by the way, recorded these as well. I have like recordings all over my computer, and I had somebody transcribe them so I could actually read through and get the language that people were using and use that language to build our website. So we designed our landing pages, we designed our email campaigns, everything that was customer facing, we designed around the language that they were using. And this is what we ended up with. Now, I will say this, your software has to measure up to their expectations. So we had to redo our software to provide a more step-by-step process as well. And in fact, I'll talk about this, but we ended up revamping a whole lot about the business. So this is what I ended up with for our homepage, and this is actually based on the exact language that our customers used. And if you hit whooshtraffic.com, you can see I've got down here a step-by-step process of how people can get more traffic to their websites, which was what we were able to focus on most. And of course, I threw in a testimonial from a customer as well. By the way, these one-on-one consults, especially if they've been a customer of yours for a while, are great to get testimonials from. I got stuck on that sometimes. It felt really awkward emailing people and saying, well, can you give us a testimonial, so that we can put it on our website? That felt really cheesy to me. But when I could do it as part of the one-on-one consult, and I said, well, I know you've been using our service for 3 months or 6 months or however long you've been using it. Can I get a quick testimonial from you? And they're like, sure, and they get all excited, and then they say it, and you repeat it back to them and say, okay, so what I heard from you was this, this, and this, and yes, that's exactly it. Well, you have them on audio now, and you hopefully are recording this so that you know exactly what they said, and then you can throw that up on your site. So we found out in our case that a lot of people just needed hand-holding to get traffic to their websites. So that's exactly what we built our software to do. So now it's time for a quick heart-to-heart conversation. I'm going to step down here for a minute. I'm going to talk to you guys. So this is really difficult. Sometimes here's what happens. You get your customers and you get in the consult with them and you get them one-on-one and they start saying stuff like, your stuff doesn't work for me. This is where it gets tough because you're going to have to be able to listen to what they're saying and take that in stride and say, what's not working and how can I change that for you? We did this. By late 2012, early 2013, it was clear that the user interface that we had for our software was not working for our customers. And they were not happy about it. Some of our customers were happy. We were still growing the business, but they weren't happy enough. So you're going to have to get real with your customers and say, all right, sometimes this isn't going to work for you. Sometimes we're going to have to redo a lot of this stuff. And so that's what I did with this. I had a heart-to-heart with my co-founder. And we said, look, we've raised a little bit of funding. We've done a seed round, a very small seed round, mostly friends and family. And we have growing. We have the graph going up and to the right in terms of revenue and in terms of customers. But we have this undercurrent of customers who are not happy. And so now what? Now what do we do? And so we realized that we needed to redesign what we were doing in order to help our customers grow bigger businesses. So I started out by being pretty frugal. How many of you would consider yourselves frugal? I know as a bootstrapper, it's hard, right? There's like, okay, so that's most of the room, probably 2/3 of you. So, I don't know about you, but I do my monthly expenses every month. I track everything, right? I know where my credit card spending is going. I know exactly how much money I have in the bank. I know exactly where I'm spending what I call too much money. I've cut back on cable TV like many of you have, I'm sure, in order to help fund and grow my business because my business is more important to me than that kind of stuff. And I know many of you are in that same boat. And so is apparently this guy. So I started out being frugal as well. The problem with being frugal is that it doesn't really help you grow your business because you get stuck in this mindset of, well, I would be hard-pressed to pay $20 a month for anything except if it's ridiculously important to my business. If it's going to measurably grow my customers or my revenue, I'm going to pay you $20 a month for it. But I'm not going to pay any more than that. So we get stuck in that mindset. And we get stuck in like, well, I don't know if it's worth that much to people. So here's the problem with that. When somebody comes up here on stage and says to you, raise your prices, a lot of us have a hard time doing that because we're stuck in that mindset of, well, it doesn't feel like it's worth $99 a month. It doesn't feel like it's worth more than that. It seems ridiculous to have an enterprise plan where I charge $1,000 a month for this thing that I would never pay $1,000 a month for. But you're not your customer. You see? And so what you are struggling to pay $20 a month for, there might be an enterprise out there or a huge business where $1,000 a month for the same thing, if it gives them, $100,000 a year in new revenue, and that's what your tool can do, or it saves them time, or hey, it saves them from hiring an employee, which is what you hear a lot of enterprise saying at $1,000 a month or more, then it's worth it to them. And so you have to get in the mindset of, this may be not designed for me. Our minimum plan probably shouldn't be $9 or $19 a month. It should be $100 a month. And then how do you make it worth that much to them? So that's the real question. And not worth that much to you, right? Because you're the bootstrapper. You're the guy trying to feed his family. I get that. But worth it to them. How do you make it so that it saves them enough time or makes them enough money, right? Those are the two points that you can sell on. Making them more money is the stronger point. But how does it save them enough time or make them enough money that $99 a month or $500 a month or $1,000 a month is worth it to them? And you have to step out of that mindset in order to get to that. So that's what we did with Whoosh Traffic. We decided that what we were selling, we were not happy with. So first of all, we changed the pricing. So we did this. Our lowest plan used to be $9 a month. And we changed it to $49 a month. And we distributed some coupons and whatnot to bring it down for people. We have 50% off for 3 months floating around out there. And we changed our agency plan to $499 per month. And we got screams from agencies. So we added an agency light plan, what I called agency light at $99 a month. And honestly, that should be up there instead of the personal. But we're going to change their whole thing anyway. And then we added an enterprise plan for $999 per month. And you know what happened? People signed up for it. They did. They signed up at $999 a month. Can you believe that? But they did, because it was worth it to their business to have that. And so now, almost 5% of our customers are paying $499 a month or more. We've doubled our average revenue per customer in the past 6 months. We've gone from $30 to $40 a month per customer to almost $80 a month per customer in average customer revenue. And you know what I'm going to do next? I'm going to scrap the personal plan entirely. I don't want to go below $99 a month. And I'm going to say, what would make it valuable for those people, valuable enough that even an individual would pay $99 a month? You know what we're going to start doing? Stuff that doesn't scale, like webinars. They scale a little bit, right? But you still have to get on there and talk to people for an hour. Not most of our idea of like a fun time, like getting on the webinar and telling people how to use your software or telling people how to grow their business with your stuff. but the things that people will pay for. That's the stuff that people will pay for. Maybe it's adding a community to your site, depending on what your website is and what you're selling. Maybe it's connecting customers to other customers of yours or other vendors of yours that they may find valuable. It's that personal touch that's going to say, wow, $99 a month was totally worth it because the CEO actually reached out to me and said, hey, I heard you're looking for a web designer. I've got one and he's awesome. So that's what we did. And that's how we doubled our average revenue per customer very quickly. So this may force you to reevaluate your entire business. It did me. It did. I'm standing up here, and 6 months ago, the business was radically different from where it is now. We didn't have an enterprise plan. And we found out pretty quickly when we tried to sell enterprises that some of the stuff we had wasn't up to par with enterprises. So we had to go through and rebuild massive pieces of our software to cater to enterprise-level customers. So we reevaluated everything. We went down to the bare bones of the business. If our business was a house, we took it all the way down to the studs and decided to rebuild it and do it at a higher price point. So we went from selling SEO software, which is where we are today, to selling marketing software, because we found out that most companies have a more holistic marketing strategy. I mean, duh, right? They're doing SEO and social media and AdWords and all this other stuff, right? But they're not necessarily just doing SEO, and they're not willing to necessarily pay a lot of money for just SEO software. So we became a white label HubSpot, which is marketing software. Somebody asked me yesterday, what is HubSpot? We became a white label HubSpot, white label marketing software for agencies and hosting companies. So here's how this works now. Here's how what we're building, what we're moving into, is being able to have agencies look like the expert to their clients by giving their clients recommendations labeled with that agency's name. We went back to the agencies and we're like, okay, we're rebuilding this from the ground up. What do you actually need? And they're like, oh man, I hate doing proposals for my clients. It is the worst. I have to manually copy and paste everything. And we said, okay, well there's proposal software out there, right? There's BidSketch and other companies that do proposal software. But how can we specifically help you with not just the design of the proposal, but the content? And they said, well, it would be really great if we could have something like, them plus their competitors and some lines and graphs that shows they're not competing well against their competitors, they're not ranking as well, and then some charts that show what we can do for them and all the things that are wrong with their website and how we can fix it. And at the end, we're just going to slap a big price tag on it and we're going to make it into a PDF and we're going to just send that to them. Okay. So it took me a while to weasel that out of the agencies, but I found out what they really wanted was the ability to look like an expert to their customers. And of course, who doesn't want to look like an expert? So we said, well, what if we built this thing where you could do proposals, where you could do a customer center, and you could white label all of this with your name so that they can see what you're doing and they can see where you are, and you can do proposals out of it, and then you can show them what you're doing as you're doing it. Oh man, that would be great. When can we sign up for that? Please shut up and take my money. So we said, okay, we're gonna redo this. So we're gonna take it down to the studs and redo it. We're gonna become marketing software for agencies and hosting companies. So I took this to hosting companies too, and I said, well, what if we could decrease your churn or increase your average revenue per customer? And they're like, yeah, great. I said, what if we could do that by actually educating your customers and helping them become better, helping their websites be better? Yeah, okay, awesome. All right, so we're gonna take you as a pilot program, and I ran this past a couple hosting companies, and I said, can we put you in a pilot program where you offer this to your customers, and then we track if it decreases your churn or increases your average revenue or lifetime value per customer? Yes, sign me up. Great, so we're going to do that until we get to the point where it does have a measurable, noticeable effect, and then we blow the barn doors open, and we sell it to every hosting company and every agency out there, and we say, this helps make your customers feel better about choosing you as a company. So that's what we decided to do. We ripped our business down to the ground and we rebuilt it. So we were called Whoosh Traffic and still are to this day, but today I'm pleased to announce our new name, Market Vibe. And I'm really excited about this. So we just finished the domain name acquisitions actually this morning. Last night I sent off the payment, and today we acquired the domain name. And we're changing from Whoosh Traffic into Market Vibe. We got a ton of questions about that, by the way. Why are we changing? Whoosh Traffic is a cool name. Whoosh Traffic is startup-y, and it's fun, and it's, it's goofy, and all that stuff. And our customers do like the name. The problem is we're selling to enterprises now. We're selling to larger companies. We're going into meetings with big dudes in suits at a long conference table, and we're sitting there, we're like, Whoosh Traffic, and they're like, what? So we actually talked to the VP of marketing at Coca-Cola, and the guy was like, your company is called what? And he looked at our business card and he's like, that's dumb. I was like, all right, so we're gonna change the name too. So we have this kind of feedback and we just take it in stride and go, okay, well, if we're going to build a huge business, we've got the guy at Coca-Cola's email address, but he's going to hate the name Whoosh Traffic and he's never going to sign up for that product. So what can we do? We took a whiteboard and we diagrammed out names and we bounced it around for a week and we talked to advisors, we talked to investors, we talked to consultants, and we finally came up with Market Vibe, which we really like. So I'm pleased to announce that as of today, we are changing our name and everybody's on board with it. So that was a huge part of the learning process for us, is that not only do we have to break the software down to the studs, we actually have to change our whole name and our company brand and the feel of our company. So we took what was going to be $1 million business in the SEO tools niche, and we're turning it into $1 billion business. I'm seriously committed to building this to a large company. And I know this won't resonate with everyone out there, but maybe what will resonate is building a business to the point where you don't necessarily have to work on it full time anymore. It's putting in the 60 or 80 hours a week now and contacting customers individually and emailing them and following up and doing webinars and doing one-on-one consultations now so that those customers will stay with you for a long time. And it's about adding value to the point where you don't have to kill yourself with customers. Going back to $99 a month in terms of that being your lowest price, Jason's point of having 150 customers at $100 a month is more than enough to pay for most of your bills and for your full-time salary. And once you have 150 customers, as I can attest, it's easier to grow it from there because you have some idea of what customers want to pay and who they are. So here's my conclusion. I would say be brave. Remember how many of you held up your hands saying that you wanted to do the 1,000 email challenge? Those were the brave ones. You guys were the brave ones. So be brave. Go out there and do what other people won't do or can't do. Charge more. Deliver the experience to match. How many of you have Apple computers? Yeah. Charge more. Deliver the experience to match. Yeah. So you bought the Mac, right? It was expensive, and I have one too, I know. And you may not like it all the time, right? How many of you have iPads? iPads? That's everybody. Charge more. Android tablet. You can buy an Android tablet for $89 these days. I like Android, but $89 versus $500. What do you guys all have? You have the iPads. Charge more. Deliver the experience to match. And then do what doesn't scale, at least at the beginning. At least for the customers that pay you more than your average customers. At least for that 5% or 2% that pay you a lot of money. Go out there and do what doesn't scale with them. I know it's a little bit scary to go to somebody who's paying you a lot of money and go, well, would you like some of my time involved? But usually they're like, yes, please, I have questions about your software, or something's not working, or this is confusing for me. The best user testing you can possibly do is on your existing customers, because once they know that they can be open with you, they'll be able to say, okay, look, this isn't working for me. I need this is just not working. I need this to do this, or I need this over here, or this is broken. And that's the kind of feedback that's so valuable. In fact, I keep one tab open when I'm doing these consults in FogBugs, our support or our ticket system, so that I can actually write tickets in for our development queue as customers are telling me this isn't working or this is what I need. And go bigger. Go really big. Don't try to build a business with just enough to make you make you enough money to kind of make it okay a little bit, and then if you lose one big customer, it's a disaster and you have to scramble to get more customers. That's what I did wrong with my hosting company. So go bigger. 150 customers at $100 a month. Okay, now 300. Great. It's okay to make $30,000 a month. That's great. Invest it back. All of you frugal folks, make 30 grand a month, put 20 of it away. Awesome. Even better. But go bigger with your business. Think bigger. Think $100 a month. Think $1,000 a month. How many customers do you need at $1,000 a month, giving them 2 hours a month of your time in exchange and some great software that'll help them grow their business or become a better person or whatever they need to do? At $1,000 a month, you need 10, 15 of them? Do it. Go bigger. So that's what I have. Thank you very much.
You had mentioned how to scale, how to transition from consulting work to scaling your product. How do you do that when you're doing consulting work? How do you do those things that don't scale? Especially the emails I get, that's not a problem. But the webinars,
yeah.
How do you do that? Or maybe you don't do that, depends on your client.
Great question. So how do you do webinars and all that other, one-on-ones and all that stuff when you're trying to do consulting as well? I'll tell you a story. Last year, my largest consulting months, I made almost $30,000 in consulting. And that was not from the larger gigs like WP Engine. That was all from individual, medium to large businesses signing up for our software and consulting as well. And I almost killed myself with it. At one point, I just collapsed into tears, and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I don't care that I'm making $27,000 a month. This is not worth it to me. So what I did was I built a business where I could do the one-on-ones initially and then have email follow-ups so that I didn't have to kill myself with, going on and doing this stuff with each individual customer. So I had like a hybrid consulting / software business. I wouldn't recommend that. What I would recommend is getting them on board initially with the 30-minute consult and then going into the software and having the software take care of it for them. So that's what I would say. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Awesome.
Other questions?
Hi.
Hi.
So you are converting from, from SEO software to marketing enterprise software.
Yes.
How do you manage the, culture change that may impact on your business?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I like that. So my business is basically 4 people right now. So it's me, my co-founder Parnell, our lead developer Paul, and our support person Faye. And so there's 4 of us. And what I basically did was say, look, either we're going to drop this business in the ground and we're all going to go back to consulting either as a team or individually because this is all killing us right now and we hate doing what we're doing, or we're going to transition into something more awesome. And so what we did was we actually created a Google Doc. And I wish I would have had some screenshots of that. I didn't think about that. But we actually it was a collaborative effort. And we threw all of the ideas that we had for better businesses in there. We're like, all right, we're not going to do this anymore. Okay, what can we do? And we came up with some great ones. There was like better affiliate software. I know Get Ambassador is here. They're doing that. And there was like all kinds of stuff like shopping cart software for e-commerce companies and stuff for web designers. And there was like all this stuff in there. And finally, we came to the conclusion that the easiest route would simply to be make our software better and not so focused on SEO so that it's more focused on marketing and less on SEO, and then stop killing ourselves by trying to keep up with the Google stuff and go into building more enterprisey, higher price software. And so then we just took that and we changed the pricing, and then we just went to all the enterprises and agencies and we had meetings with everyone, like huge names that you guys would all recognize. And we're sitting in their boardroom, we're like, woo, we're Whoosh Traffic, yeah, look at our software, it's so cool. And they were just like, well, it needs to have this. So we generated this huge list of features that it needed to have, and we started building it out. And we said, we worked backwards, right? We took from what the customers wanted, and then we just built that. And we said, okay, great. Well, now it has this feature, and we'd email them back. Okay, great. Now you can sign up for a trial. And then we finally started getting agencies and companies, bigger companies, to stick with the software. So it was definitely a process. It took us about 8 months to get to that point of transitioning from $9 a month, where we had a 40% drop-off rate in the first 3 months of people paying $9, to people paying $500 a month or more, which has virtually no cancellations. So that's how we did it. And it was definitely a process, and it had to involve our entire team in my case. But it was something that we're all on board with because we want fewer customers that pay more, and then we can grow that into having gigantic customers, Fortune 500 companies and whatnot.
We have time for one more.
So you were saying that you would go to your customers and then they would say, we'd like this feature. But did you go to each customer and they would say, I want this feature, and you'd start adding that? Because so you didn't wait to get a group and then say, here's a new release. You just went one by one, pretty much?
Yeah. So we wanted to know why, right? So agencies all said that reporting was their largest feature. That's what they needed. They needed PDF reports to be really solid. So we spent 2 months building a PDF report generator that became one of the most awesome ones out there. And we built that, and we said, look, we have this really awesome report generator, and they all came over. And so, but there are some customers, you're right, there are some that are just doing it for themselves, right? And they want this thing that nobody else cares about. If they're paying more than $500 a month, and it took less than 2 days of our time to add the feature, it became our rule, we just added it for them. And we said, okay, this is now a feature. And it turns out that some other customers would want that feature too. They just hadn't thought to say it because they thought it was minimal. If it was a customer that wanted one thing and it was going to take us like a month to build that thing, they better be paying us a lot of money.
And so then did you then put that up as a new feature so everybody knew
Yep.
about it? Okay.
Exactly.